Hello everybody, we are Livio and
Gabriella.
and we love to present our project to you guys and get some feedback. We've been working for a long time in our dream to create a permaculture property somewhere in Canada. A couple of years ago we had opportunity to buy 133 acres land in Nova Scotia. Our USDA zoning is a 6A, which is characterized by mild winters and not so hot summers. Our setting is rural with good road access and good access to local highways. It's 15 minutes outside the city limits. There's no zoning established yet, which we really are happy about because of the multitude of activities
we plan in the future.
developing. And it's our property. We are the only decision makers, and this way I hope we're gonna be able to develop it really fast. Our goal is to create a commercial agrotourism business that incorporates permaculture principles at every level of operation. The main elements that we want to include are a bed and breakfast establishment that can accommodate 40 to 60 people. It also houses a restaurant, conservatory, sauna, and outdoor amenities. We're also going to have an attached large greenhouse conservatory that can be used as a sauna room, tea room, restaurant extension. We want to incorporate a rainwater harvested elements. Because in Nova Scotia it rains every 1 or 2 times per week, and that's a significant amount of water, the resource we can utilize for our gardens. When it comes to food production, we want to build a Chinese greenhouse for 4 seasons year round, and all the outputs production is going to be used in our restaurant operations. North side of the Chinese greenhouse we're going to have a multifunctional multi-species barn and a farm shed for equipment storage and maintenance. Short enough, it's a really big plan, it's a lot going on, and that's why the current challenges are design knowledge gaps. We really want to learn how to do it ourselves without minimal consultation for financial perspective, but most likely from operational development and understanding and building with the land. So other challenges are overall site infrastructure, mechanicals, engineering to be developed, the potable water. We have water on the property, just got to create a potable water source, and we also got to figure out the sewage treatment because it's the scale of the people and the occupants we're going to have.
All right, so let's take a look at the base map. We purchased a LiDAR map from Mitch. We used 2 important pieces of information to help us design our zone, and those are the watershed path and elevation. Right now you can see about 20-30 acres that are already cleared. The rest are all forested. Because this is a huge project, we decided to divide it into 3 phases. So for this project, we are only concerned with phase 1, which occupies in the southeast corner of this property. Okay, now let's take a look at the sector analysis. So by researching extensively online, we were able to figure out the summer sun angle and the winter sun angle, as well as where the winter wind are blowing from. Now let's take a look at the zone analysis. Before we dive into zones, I just want to bring your attention to the elevations. You see a little peak here that is at 122.5 meters. And then from there on, we have a gradual slope toward the forest area. Zone 1 is primarily located on the top plateau because we want the water to drain away from the buildings. Let's just go through some of the elements in Zone 1. As mentioned, we want to have a bed and breakfast building that can accommodate 40 to 50 people, and partially attached to this building is our greenhouse / sunroom / conservatory. This is going to be like an extension of the restaurant where people can dine or have tea or simply just hang out. We also want the sauna to be attached to the greenhouse for a heat recovery reason, which we will explain later when we do a deep dive into the design of the greenhouse. Zone 2 is pretty much an extension of Zone 1. We have the deck where people can hang out during the summer. You will also see the playground, the fish pond, petting zoo, food garden, medicinal herbs / tea garden, and rose garden. We also want a naturally filtered swimming pool that's close to the sauna. A little bit away from Zone 1, we have the much larger Chinese greenhouse for all year round food production. and right attached to it, in the north side, we have the barn and maintenance facility. And close to the Chinese greenhouse, we have several more hoop houses to help with the food production. We have a duck pond here where it's close to the animal barn. And not to mention, we have our parking for staff and guests. So now let's take a look at Zone 3, which are really just the food forest and permaculture orchard that are wrapping around the guest-centric area. Lastly, we have Zone 4, which are silvopasture that wraps around the animal-centric area.
Okay, when it comes to Zone 4 and beyond that, we really want to use the property at the full potential. So we're going to create roads so animals can go out in the phase 2 and phase 3, so we can properly do rotational grazing in the area that's already been cleared and far beyond that.
All right, so finally, let's talk about access. We have a huge street frontage that spans around 1 kilometer, and from there on, this is the road that leads to our property. And then from here, the access road just directs to all the different elements that are outlined in the zone analysis. Now let's talk about water. We have cistern, fish pond, swimming pool, and pond water for reservoir. We have cisterns that are planted close to the greenhouse, which we can use to irrigate the tropical plants and other culinary plants that we plan to house in the greenhouse. We also want to collect rainwater close to the bed and breakfast because of its large surface area from the roof, as well as the sauna. And these 2 cisterns will be used to irrigate the Chinese greenhouse. We also plan to create a large pond at the bottom of the elevation, just for a water reservoir. So this is strategically placed at the lowest point in phase 1, where it also collect water drained from phase 2, which is altogether even at a higher elevation than phase 1. The water can be pumped to water silvopasture or the food forest or the Chinese greenhouse when necessary. Now let's take a deep dive into our greenhouse design. So the greenhouse is 8 meters in depth and 30 meters in length. We really want it to be an extension of the restaurant where people can dine and have afternoon tea or just to hang out here. This greenhouse is strategically placed to be partially attached to the bed and breakfast because we want the kitchen to be directly linked to the conservatory so that all the heat can be recovered, or it can be channeled into the greenhouse to keep the temperature stable. And also we want the kitchen to be linked to the greenhouse so the staff who are cooking meals can directly serve the meals from the kitchen to the greenhouse as well. The sauna is also attached to the greenhouse because during winter the sauna is going to be in full operation, and it's something that the guests are going to enjoy using all the time, and all that heat generated in the depth of winter is going to be channeled into the greenhouse to help keeping the temperature. Another feature we want to point out is all the windows that are placed around the conservatory. We really took Rob's lesson from his greenhouse mini course at heart, which is to ventilate as much as we can, and that is healthy for the plants. So that's why we planned cross ventilation east to west and lower and to upper level. Another feature about the greenhouse is its high knee wall. From the bottom here to the top of the window is almost 2 meters. We want our guests to be walk around comfortably everywhere in the greenhouse without having to bend their head. We also incorporated a foundation wall beneath the grate to help preserve the heat for the soil and also to prevent critter from coming in, and this is below frost line. Rainwater harvest, as we mentioned, is going to be collected in 2 cisterns both at the west and east end of the greenhouse. In order to further prevent heat loss, we have vestibules wherever doors are concerned. So one over here and another one in the center.
So when it comes to additional heating for the greenhouse, we've been following the weather for the last couple of years, and this year alone is unheard of. There were a couple of nights they were like dropping to -20. So to mitigate for this kind of one time per winter events, we decided to include a rocket stove design, which we're gonna run it with wood from our trimmings from our own land. So everything stays on our land is gonna be used from our land. So that's pretty much it. We didn't have too much time to get into it in much detail. I know it's a big project, but we're working diligently in that, and we're happy we are part of the community with you guys, and most likely we're gonna find a lot of feedback, and we'll be able to provide a lot of feedback to other people. So all together we can develop these properties and make the world a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you.